With the post-war explosion of new truck models in the late 1940s, the early 50s saw little change. Crosley continued to offer van, wagon, and pickup versions of their new Model CD through 1952, popular for local delivery services. Starting around $1,000, it was still 145 inches long on an 80-inch wheelbase, weighing roughly 1,300 pounds. Power came from a 720cc inline-4 with 27 horsepower. The Willys CJ3A ran from 1949 to 1953, getting heavier suspension than its predecessor to make it more suitable for agricultural work. It was 130 inches long on an 80-inch wheelbase, weighing around 2,200 pounds. Its 2.2-liter, 134 cubic inch Go Devil inline-4 produced 60 horsepower. More than 130,000 would be made. Willys Overland also continued to offer a Jeep truck, available with four-wheel drive and as a pickup or wagon. It was 184 inches long on a 118-inch wheelbase and 3,100 to 3,300 pounds. It got updated styling for 1950 and a new overhead valve Hurricane 2.2-liter inline-4 for 1951, bumping horsepower to 72. Studebaker made the 2R from 1948 through 1953, with prices starting around $1,500. Wheelbases range from 112 to 195 inches, offered in 3/4, 1, 1.5, and 2-ton versions, with a line of straight sixes of 170, 226, and 246 cubic inches, or 2.8, 3.7, and 4 liters, with 80, 94, or 102 horsepower. For 1954, it would be updated into the short-lived 3R and gain an available 120 horsepower 232 V8. Combined, total sales would exceed 265,000. The second-generation Ford F-Series and Mercury M-Series arrived for 1953, differing only in trim. The 100 was 189 inches on a 110-inch wheelbase, but it was also offered as the 118-inch wheelbase 250 and 130-inch wheelbase 350. Engines were an 101 horsepower 3.5-liter 215 straight six, or a torquier 100 horsepower 3.7-liter 239 flathead V8. But for 1954, the 6 was up to 223 cubic inches and 115 horsepower, and the overhead valve 239 V8 provided 130 horsepower. The Chevrolet Advanced Design and GMC New Design carried through the period, getting minor updates each year, with a facelift for 1954. In base form, they were 191 to 197 inches long on a 116-inch wheelbase, although longer 126 and 137-inch wheelbase versions were available, with prices starting under $1,400 for a bare chassis and cab. The Chevy used a 3.5-liter 216 cubic inch stove bolt overhead valve straight six for 90 horsepower initially, moving to a 3.9-liter 235 or 4.3-liter 261 for 1954, with 105 to 135 horsepower, while GMCs were powered by a 3.7-liter 228 overhead valve straight six with 93 horsepower, with bigger 4.1, 248, and 4.4, 270 cubic inch versions being offered for 100 to 130 horsepower. Naturally, both were offered as a pickup and delivery or suburban van, the latter typically priced from $1,600 to $1,900. The Dodge B-Series, or Fargo truck in export markets, was little changed through 1953, with prices starting at over $1,300. Offered as a 108-inch wheelbase van or short bed, 116-inch wheelbase long bed, or 126-inch wheelbase extended version. Power came from a 218 or 230 straight six with 95 to 108 horsepower. The second series Power Wagon was introduced for 1951, costing nearly $600 more than the standard B-Series, using the same engines, or a 218 or 331 diesel with 85 to 102 horsepower, in a variety of body styles from pickup to ambulance. International Harvester introduced the L-Series in 1949, and it ran through 1952. Lighter-duty versions were offered in 115, 127, and 134-inch wheelbase, with a 3.6-liter 220 or 3.9-liter 240 silver diamond straight six with 100 to 108 horsepower, although bigger commercial versions with bigger engines were available. and the Metro step van carried over to the L series as well. Perhaps its biggest competitor was the Divco, or Detroit Industrial Vehicle Company, snub-nose van, that had been around since the mid-30s. Initially offered on a 101-inch wheelbase, but by this point longer wheelbase versions were available, and the 2.3-liter, 38-horsepower Continental 4 was joined by a bigger 6. In Britain, there was a range of different types of vehicles, such as the Vauxhall Velux Ute, 172 inches long on a 103-inch wheelbase, and around 2,400 pounds. It used a 2.3-liter straight 6, and horsepower ranged from 55 to 64. The Austin A70 was bigger and included a utility coupe version, up to 168 inches long on a 99-inch wheelbase, but still powered by a 2.2-liter inline-4 with 67 horsepower. The Thames E83W of 1952 was 158 inches long on a 78-inch wheelbase and 2,000 pounds. Although bigger versions were available, the engine was a 30-horsepower 1.2-liter side-valve Ford inline-4. The Bedford PC ran through 1952 and was offered as a pickup, van, or wagon, and used a 105-inch wheelbase. Power came from a 1.4-liter inline-4, providing 40 horsepower. The Land Rover Series 1 carried on, still 132 inches long on an 80-inch wheelbase, and roughly 2,600 pounds. The engine had grown to a 2-liter inline-4, increasing horsepower to 52. The Morris J-Type half-ton van was 153 inches long on an 86-inch wheelbase, and it used a 1.5-liter 4 providing 51 horsepower. And Bedford introduced the CA van in 1952, 154 inches long on a 90-inch wheelbase, or 166 inches long on a 102-inch wheelbase, weighing 2,200 to 2,300 pounds. It had a 1.5-liter 4 with 52 to 54 horsepower. In France, Peugeot had taken over Chanard-Walker to produce the front-wheel drive D3 step van, starting in 1950, 174 inches long on a 100-inch wheelbase, using a 30-horsepower 1100. Citroën made the H-Type, also front-wheel drive, and base versions were 176 inches long on a roughly 98-inch wheelbase, and power came from a 1.9-liter inline-4 with 50 horsepower. In Germany, the DKW Schnelllaster, or Rapid Transport, was 155 to 175 inches long on a 98 or 118-inch wheelbase, and power came from a 700cc two-stroke twin with 20 horsepower. Volkswagen introduced the Type 2 for 1950, also called the Transporter, Combi, and Microbus, among other things, offered in a variety of body styles. It was typically 169 inches long on a 95-inch wheelbase, and the air-cooled rear-mounted 1100 flat 4 produced 25 horsepower. The Mercedes Unimog 401 of 1953 was 139 inches long on a 68-inch wheelbase and 3,700 pounds, and a longer 84-inch wheelbase 402 was also offered. It used a 39-horsepower 1.7-liter diesel 4, backed by a 6-speed manual with 2 reverse gears. Italy created their own Jeep with the Fiat Campagnola, 142 to 159 inches long on an 89-inch wheelbase, and weighing 2,800 to 3,000 pounds, initially using a 53-horsepower 1.9-liter. The Soviet Jeep was the Gaz 67, 132 inches long on an 83-inch wheelbase, and 2,900 pounds. Its engine was a 3.3-liter inline-4 with 54 horsepower. In Australia, Ford offered a mainline Ute, a car that was 196 inches long on a 116-inch wheelbase, offered with either a 3.5-liter 215 overhead valve straight 6 or a 3.9-liter flathead V8 with 101 or 110 horsepower, while Holden's new 215 Ute was 172 inches long on a 103-inch wheelbase and just over 2,200 pounds. It used a 2.2-liter 132 straight 6, providing 60 horsepower. In Japan, the military Jeep was gaining traction, starting in 1951 with vehicles such as the Nissan Patrol. It was 144 inches long on an 87-inch wheelbase and 3,300 pounds, powered by a 3.7-liter straight 6 with approximately 75 horsepower. Around the same time, Toyota introduced the Jeep BJ, which later became the Toyota Land Cruiser. It was 149 inches long on a 95-inch wheelbase, weighing 3,100 pounds, using an 84 horsepower 3.4-liter straight six based on the Chevrolet engine. But the market would soon be expanding, with new offerings in several markets. So as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below and like and subscribe.